and welcome everyone to another episode of What the Tech. I'm your host, Kyle Warhan.
But the dynamics are changing. It was roughly coming into 2020, it was about 13, 14% was cloud-based. Everything else was premises-based. But that's changing drastically. It actually started changing over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Now that they sent so many of their employees home, some by design, some by urgency, right? And had to do it. Some had essential employees that stayed for a while. But now pretty much everyone, the majority of the staff, if they're still open, is working from home. And what companies are finding out is that employees, for the most part, are happier being at home. Companies are also finding out that a typical employer can save about $11,000 a year from an employee that works from home. 47% of millennials, I hate that whole demographic labeling thing, but they are the growing segment of the labor force right now. And 47% of them choose work environment even over income. So there are some factors that are affecting us in this COVID stage. Do we go back? And if we go back, when do we go back? I did a call actually about a month ago with a major customer of mine who made the decision already that 45% of their staff is going to just stay home. They're looking to actually liquidate some of their brick and mortar buildings. They're an international company. So a lot of companies are making some tough decisions.
Right? And
Yeah.
we've all had bad experiences. We can tell if a customer service agent is having a bad day and they're not being nice. We've also had that, one or two experiences with like the nicest customer service agent in the world. And that has a long lasting, profound effect that cascades down to all your customers. So I guess the argument could be made, if your employees have high morale, that's going to cascade down to your customers. So for those managers wanting to still keep a good culture and maintain high employee morale for their agents while they're working at home, what would you suggest or what would you recommend?
That's a good question, and I will tell you, there's really three things that we talk about. The first one is awareness. Understand that your employees have different coworkers now. Their coworkers are spouses, their children, their other family members that they're sharing a home with, and it impacts you. Some of us, some people look forward to leaving their home in the morning, believe it or not. They look forward to the break. They look forward to the kids going to school and being able to get out and focus on work. And listen, it doesn't mean they don't love their children or their family, but it's a lot. So many schools are work at home. They're both spouses are in the house. And I will tell you, as a happily married individual, that's 24/7 constant, and the work hasn't changed. You still have to log on, you still have to be on the phone a certain time. So understand that they have other things that they might be trying to mitigate in order to get ready for work. It's not just get up, get dressed, and drive into the office. The second thing is, remember that the thing that helps people with morale is the people they work with, right? So their friends that they spend this time with, that they no longer get to physically interact with now. There are a lot of camaraderie, collaboration tools that are out there. A lot of gamification tools. I would say invest in those if you haven't already. Make it so that all the interaction that at-home agent sees should not simply be my stats and the number of calls that are waiting. I should have the ability to visually see my coworkers. I should have the ability to instant message them, whether it's to ask them questions or just share a picture with them. You should also have events that you would normally have in the office, just have them virtual. This is a Forrester report, and it says 49% of businesses out there are still not unified, even though customers are demanding a unified approach. They're demanding, I want to, if I go to your website, I want to answer my question on the website. If I have to chat, I want the person to know I was on the website. If I'm in chat and I can't get an answer and I need to call you, I want you to know that I was already on the chat. I don't. You guys can't raise your hand right now, and I probably don't want you to. But statistically, almost 50% of companies are ill-equipped to do this. All right, so that's a big deal. And the question that everyone must ask themselves is am I ready? You know, am I keeping pace with what my customers want? So on the next slide, what I want you to get from this is try to separate the noise, the fad, the shiny object from what's really being used. You'll see things that are actually growing, like mobile apps. IoT is actually growing. Video chat is talked about a lot, but quite frankly, it's not a real viable option in contact centers. It's not. I mean, if you go to trade shows, they'll make you think it's the next thing since sliced bread. It's not really a viable option. Even when everyone that gets it, everyone who wants it gets it, it's still going to be less than 40%. Everyone knows this. We do it subconsciously, right? If you go to a restaurant and you have great service, the waiter's on point, the food is right, the timing is right, the next time you go to a restaurant, you're going to self-consciously be comparing that experience, right? We all know about the AI that comes from chatbots and IVR routing and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what's becoming more impactful is AI on the agent side. AI that's able to listen to phone calls, ping a database, a knowledge base, faster than an agent can type in a keyword, use information from other phone calls, and piece together what that caller might be calling about, and providing scripting and guidelines to that agent faster than the agent can find it. That's growing rapidly, especially in the insurance space, in the banking space, the healthcare space, where there's a lot of data to maneuver. We're seeing AI being used on the back end, and it's phenomenal because one of the biggest things that agents complain about is not having the resources or the tools they need to effectively do their job. So using AI on the agent side has proven to be a tremendous uplift in this industry. 79% of the time, Amazon gets a customer who's already in their shopping cart. That means they're done, right? They get them to buy something else simply by telling them that someone else purchased it. So if you have any type of e-commerce, any type of online, you should be doing that. And if you're doing it live, that's the question agents ask at the end, where the agent says, "Is there anything else I can help you with?" Or where an agent recommends a comparable product to what the customer has already. So obviously, if they already have auto insurance, you want to recommend home insurance and things like that, right? So it works. Omnichannel experience in retail, whether it's online or in person, definitely works. If I ask you guys, if I could do a poll and ask you how many cloud contact center companies you think there are, you'd probably tell me, oh, well, there's 5, 7. I did this live. Somebody said there were 20. Well, the funny thing is there were actually 78 before March of 2020. By July of 2020, there were actually 160. Okay, so they just popped out of the woodwork because they knew everyone had to be at home. Everyone and their mother now has voice over IP. The thing you need to know, for obvious reasons, is they're not all equal. They're not the same. This is a maze. I can tell you, as someone who's run enterprise level contact centers, it's a lot to simply keep up with what I'm doing on a daily basis. I can't be running around trying to figure out who's the best contact center supplier for me out of the 150 plus that are out there. So the biggest thing that I will tell you guys is whether you're considering scalability, whether you're considering replacing outdated equipment, or just becoming more effective in your customer experience, do not do this alone. And I'm not a sales guy. I will tell you, I don't get paid on commission. I'm just telling you this just because, according to the Challenger, which is a study that Gartner put together, 38% of the time, companies who decide to walk this maze on their own to go from traditional contact center technology to an omnichannel, what we call digital transformation, 38% of the time, they stop. They fail. They just decide to keep what they have. They decide to overpay or whatever, just because they didn't know how to maneuver the maze.
And I would reinforce people as the most important component of our top 3 things that we see today. So people as it relates to workforce management and workforce engagement, right? So effectively managing and engaging your employees. Secondly, enabling and onboarding those AEs, getting information in their hands quickly so that they can be effective in supporting these new customer expectations to compete with the expectations that companies like Amazon have set for us. And then, of course, security, right? We've talked a lot about this workforce being distributed in so many different places. How do we do that securely? So it's a huge challenge.
What we're seeing trending today is the ability to be able to transcribe those calls in real time, and to be able to alert managers and to alert other people internally to even be able to alert the call center agents themselves as to things that we want to coach them on. So things like, hey, you know, this customer is asking about a password reset. How can we proactively show them, hey, here's how you would do a password reset? How do we let a manager know that maybe customers talked about a competitor, or they've brought something up that's a real sensitive topic that we want the manager to engage with immediately? What if we could coach people in real time? What if we could coach them right then? How much better could those calls be? What could we save? How much money could we make by coaching them immediately?
The things that we're talking about today have such a profound effect on a business, right? This single-handedly can increase your market share, your revenue, your net promoter score, while simultaneously decreasing your customer and employee churn, right? So this is all awesome stuff. But what I do know is the way my business runs today, it does work, right? We are seeing profits, right? Our business is running. So I'm still kind of hesitant. I'm not going to use the word afraid, but I'm still kind of hesitant just to make that change. I'm afraid that if I start to migrate to a new provider that I've never worked with, that something's going to go wrong and it's going to impact my business and my bottom line.
It really comes down to the implementation. You know, we really focus on good customer implementations, on great customer satisfaction. You know, our NPS scores for implementation and services are in the high 80s to in the 90s, which is unprecedented. So that's a track record that we have over a long period of time. And even our implementation engineers and project managers are all actually number one compensated on how happy the customer's on, and that's how happy the customer is. And that, you know, that makes a huge difference in making the migration with your platform something that not a lot of people talk about, but it's probably the most important part of this journey.
So please let me introduce the host of the Manitowoc Minute, Emmy Award-winning journalist, our favorite comedian, the one and only Charlie Berens. Charlie, what do you have in store for us today?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much for that intro. You know, I got a couple, two, three